Wakanda forever and ever and ever. Anyway, good evening, everybody. It's a pollinator. And a little housekeeping. If you like the contents of my videos, there's a subscribe button over there. If you click it and click the bell, you can get to all notifications that I'm uploading a video. And I do have a PayPal link in the description of the video, and oftentimes I will put cards in the video that will show up over there depending on what I'm talking about. This one, listen, I don't normally get into the gossiping about celebrity business because I think it's a waste of time, and it's very damaging to our community for people to just be cutting each other up and cutting each other down. And you know, there's a few pro-black channels on YouTube that do that. You know, they just look for the newest thing and they're going to chase it and knock it down. I don't know if that makes them I don't know if that makes them feel better about their content, but I do not like gossip. Oh my God, I don't like gossip. I grew up with people gossiping so much about my family that it was a nightmare for us kids to go through. I mean, I'd show up to school, something would happen, and I'd show up to school, and by the time it got to somebody, the whole what happened was completely altered. Did you guys ever play that game in grade school where the teacher would whisper something to one student, and then that student would turn around and whisper it to the next student, and it would go all around the class until it got to the last person? And when they came out and said what they thought the first person said, it wasn't even close. But that's how human beings are about gossip. You know, it just sucks to me, and I was the target of that, so I just grew up saying what do you call it, to gossip. Anyway, but I've got a topic that I wanted to talk about. This guy named Kevin Samuels. I've been watching the brother for 6 months to a year. I don't know, somewhere around there. And me and my homie watch a lot of different guys. This is how we're developing our manhood. Is just picking and choosing what we, picking and choosing the best out of men to not emulate, but to take on, like a coat. You take on, you make it your own, you practice it, you go out there and practice it. That's the part about the internet that kind of is fucked up, is that people aren't practicing anything but being someone other than who they really are. Because if they're face to face with somebody, it's a whole different story than if they're trying to talk to them on the internet or text them or whatever, where they're not communicating by voice or communicating in person. But so I forgot my point, why I even said that. Practice. Okay, so yeah, when you pick up things from various people on the internet, it's best that you don't listen to them like, I'm going to agree with everything they say, or I'm just going to X them out, cancel them out. Instead of just picking and choosing what you agree with and just throw away what you don't agree with, but continue to try to get something out of a video or a person face to face, even stuff like that. I learned very early on in Alcoholics Anonymous that, and I just passed 38 years on Sunday. But what I learned in Alcoholics Anonymous was that we could learn from newcomers. They may say some really screwed up stuff, but if you listen, you keep listening, you will hear gold nuggets come out of their mouth. So let's get back to this guy named Kevin Samuels, who is just blown up tremendously in the last 6 months to a year. You know, he used to be just do fashion. And then he slowly moved his platform onto talking with a lot of black women. Because the brother cares about the black community and he sees what has happened to it in the modern era. He sees the differences between what women are like now, what women were like 20 years ago, what women were like 50 years ago, what women were like 100 years ago. But let me tell you what's happening. There's a shitload of people, a shitload of haters who they never watch a full video. They just take pieces of his video out and then disagree with them and then say, okay, this is the box he lives in. Listen, it took me watching him pretty consistently for about a month or 2 months, I'd say, before I began to understand where he was coming from and what he's doing on the internet. But man, people are just coming out of the woodwork and attacking the brother because he happens to be a little effeminate because of the way he was raised, the clothing, the Italian clothes that he wears. You know, when people can't attack his content and his record, they take off after his looks and whether they think he's gay or not. And he's so funny that he tells them, you know, okay, you think I'm gay? Leave me with your girlfriend and see what happens. I wouldn't leave mine with him. No. The guy is doing fairly well. No matter what his track record was in the past or whatever, wives and whether he has children. I don't even know if he has children. But I know he's been married before. And so anyway, yeah, all over the internet, they're taking him apart. And what I like about him, even though I do not qualify as a high value man, he's got specific parameters when he speaks about high value men that a lot of people on the internet are missing. You know, they're just throwing that term out there, high value this, high value that. And the people they're talking about aren't necessarily high value. The people that are saying they're high value aren't necessarily high value, not according to his definition of a high value man. So, you know, it starts out with, you know, having to make a certain amount of money. But where they miss the boat is being involved, having a team of brothers, a team of men who consider you an alpha and part of their crew. That you have to be useful to other people, not just to yourself. And that you have to be like LinkedIn ready. You have to be, have to be able to see you on LinkedIn and basically be able to tell what you're about and the kind of crowds you're running with. So there's just a lot of parameters. But here's the thing. The things he is saying on his channel are things a lot of men desire, whether they're high value or not. It doesn't take high value to realize that women in the United States, it's mostly a Western phenomenon, but women in the United States have considered, they have changed the whole narrative to considering themselves the prize in a relationship, where Kevin Samuels is saying, no. The man is the prize, and you women don't know anything about what men want. Nothing. They don't know anything because they want the man to cater to them, their feelings, their habits, their spending, they want the men to be all about them, and they don't have to be about anything. Okay, they don't have to be about that man. They don't have to pay attention to his feelings. They don't have to pay attention to his ego, and they don't have to pay attention to his contribution to the relationship. And he is slowly, he's got a whole, men appreciate him. Women hate him. And then there's this group of men, beta males, who will chop down any man that looks like he's doing better than them so that they can get to those women. There was a guy, I can't remember his name. Anyway, he had a whole bunch of women. He was basically counseling a bunch of women on the internet. Come to find out, and he was married, and then come to find out he was sleeping with a lot of those women and got busted. And those are beta males. And they'll get up there and cut down other males who have a stronger agenda, or an agenda that isn't as cute as theirs. They don't have women just screaming like they're at a fucking Michael Jackson concert or whatever at their feet. Kevin Samuels is tough. He tells it like it is. He does not cater to women's feelings. He's just straight shooter. And so, and he wants women to understand that, well, there's about 5 or 6 things that indicate that you have a high sexual market in this country. You have to be fit, feminine, and there's no, don't even try to say, well, feminine 80% of the time and masculine 20, or feminine 50% of the time and masculine 50% of the time. No, all feminine. She knows how to talk to a man. She knows how to be with a man. She knows how to cater to a man, because that's what they expect of men. So why not have it go both ways? Way too often in modern women, they do not. That does not go both ways. They want to be catered to, and they don't have to do shit. So they're not adding much value to that man's life. You see? So fit, feminine, friendly, okay, cooperative, submissive, and for men that are all about children, it's preferable for her not to have children, because not many men want to raise other women's children. I'm sorry, other men's children. It can get real dicey, real easy, raising another man's children. The man is going to want to have children of his own with her, if he chooses to have a family. And if he's dragging other children along, which a lot of men do, I mean, they do it, but it's preferable not, it's preferable to find women young and ones who have not had children. So yeah, I depart from a lot of the things that he says, because number one, I'm not high value. Number two, I'm much older. I'm older than him. He's in his 50s. I'm in my 60s. Well, I can't have children. I can't give a woman a child. But see, when I watch those channels, I realize there's things about them that I don't fit that category. But it doesn't mean that I can't learn from what they're talking about, or I can't relate to what they're talking about, or that what they're talking about doesn't sing to my spirit. A lot of the stuff that they say does. If it wasn't for people like him, Steve the Dean, a couple of other ones that I didn't write down, I'd still be in this really screwed up situation that I was in, with an extremely covert narcissist woman. I wouldn't have gotten out of that situation had I not been following those men. Truly. And stand on what I'm saying. I learned that from them. Is you can say one thing, I'm not going to put up with such and such, and then if you stay there, you're putting up with it. I learned that from them, is that if you don't stand on what you're saying don't mean shit. If your actions don't align with your words, then your words don't mean anything. And that goes for women and men, but more, if you want to be a strong alpha, you won't depend on that coming from the woman. You will depend on that coming from yourself. Stand on your word. Stand on your name. So when he talks, and especially when you watch him talk, he loves to go out and find women that disagree with him, so that he can show them. He ends up showing them how crazy. They end up showing everybody else how crazy they are. But he's very on point He doesn't deviate from what he thinks and what he says. He stands on everything he says. And so yeah, he's getting pot shots from all sorts of different communities and YouTubers because people are haters. And that goes back to what I said about, I'm sorry, my eyes are bothering me lately. What I said about that Willie Lynch letter in the black community. Envy. See, envy can turn to jealousy, which is much uglier than envy. And we've just got this really bad habit that we've got to break of being envious of anybody who looks like they're doing better than other people. That's just a terrible habit that we have. But it got created during the 1700s. Okay, and we just carried it like a bad habit for, 400 years. 300, 400. Just a lot of things that we carried over from slavery and just we're not conscious of what we're doing. These guys will get you conscious of what you're doing. Not what she's doing. What you're doing. And then other guys come and teach other things. Dating, how to date women, how to get women. Tons of them if you want. And so, but he has come to this conclusion, and so have I, that women expect far more than they deserve. They overvalue their value to a man, to a relationship. See, you can replace man with anything you want. If you're the dominant in the relationship, it means the same thing. So you just transpose the words in your head for whatever you are in a relationship. So if you've got somebody who overvalues themselves, you're going to get crumbs when you're giving her steaks. I had to learn that too. Just stop doing that. If I'm going to give her a steak, she better give me a steak. And not the literal steak. If I'm going to provide her the steak, she better be fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive. Yes, I like submissive women. Not BDSM subs. Women who aren't trying to emasculate you. Women who are lifting you up. Women who are inspirational. Oh, that's another thing. You can be fine as wine. He has a rating system. And you can be fine as wine, but if your attitude is fucked up, you can drop your value also. If you got a bad attitude, who wants to deal with that? Even if you're a pretty lady. Nobody wants to deal with a bad attitude just because you're a pretty lady. These women, modern women, have been getting away with this for the last 50 years, since the civil rights movement. I don't know what it was about the end of that completely changed women, but it did. And feminism is not working. You've got too many women out there that are unhappy. They chased their career. They did everything they thought they wanted. And then when they looked up, they were too old to be in the dating marketplace. They can play like they're in it, but shit, how long are they in it before they get married again? If they're still single after 10, 20 years, they're not in good enough shape to be somebody to propose to them and make them their wife. So yeah, they expect far more than they deserve. If they're not making a man feel good about being with her, then it's just not gonna work. Men are waking up to that and saying, mm-mm. Oh, here's another thing that Kevin is saying. He's got a whole lot of guys that are, thank you very much for what you say on our behalf, and blah, blah, blah. Yet they won't get on camera and make a video telling women what time it is. They're still running scared because this whole society is very matriarchal, and women will gang the fuck up on you, even if you're right about something. If they don't think you're right, they'll gang up on you even if they're wrong. And just, you lose jobs, you'll lose this, you'll lose that if you don't fucking agree with them. It's bad it has to be that way, and it wasn't always that way. And men have their part to play in how society has gotten. They've gotten soft. Is what they've gotten. They've allowed laws to be created to keep them from disciplining their children. There's just a whole lot of stuff going on in this country that is just screwing with the success of relationships with black people. And then women get mad when black men choose other races of women to be with. Because black women have a problem with their mouths. Get them in trouble all the time. They don't like standards. They want you to fulfill their standards of what they're looking for, but they don't want you, the man, to dictate standards to them. How fair is that? It's been lopsided for a long time, where they've got men afraid to say, I want this and this and this and this. And if you can't give it to me, bye. Yeah, men have been putting up with that and settling, basically. And women think they're settling. So you've got this victim mentality going on both sides, where the tiebreaker is just going to be, women and men getting along together again. Yeah, I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and I saw a whole different scene than people are seeing today, and they think today is normal because they ain't seen what it used to be like. The black family was strong, and the further you go back, the stronger it was. And then women could argue, well, what, do you expect me to be in the kitchen all the time? No. Start with your fucking attitude first. That will go a long way. I've never been with a woman who I insisted she cook for me and she be in the kitchen. We can go out, I don't care. But it's her attitude and how she makes me feel is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at whether she's going to stay in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant type of thing. Well, I can't get a woman pregnant, but you know what I mean. Women are afraid that what you're saying is that you want them to be that, when that's not what we're saying. Fit. Women today, and this is all stuff that Kevin is saying, so, and I'm throwing a little bit of what I think too in there, but that today in the black community, black women are for their height and size, weighing more than a man at the same height. That's not acceptable for women to be saying that fat is fine. It's not okay, because it's not. They think that's okay because women are telling each other that's okay. It's the same thing. Listen, I grew up where you won a ribbon because you won something. You didn't win a ribbon just because you showed up. You won a ribbon because you competed and you won. Now today, women have gotten it to the point where, oh no, we're going to tell our children they did a great job and blah, 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 even though they lost. That's not setting up a very competitive spirit in them that they're going to be able to compete out here in the real world with. These kids have gotten soft. We've watered them down. They don't know how to fucking communicate. They don't know how to socialize. They don't. There is a lot of things that young people do not know how to do anymore because the people who raised them have gotten soft. So I said all that to say that, people have gotten too soft. They're afraid of criticism. They're afraid of confrontation. They're afraid of everything. Which makes me look weird. When I was on Fucker Book, people were always making comments to me about how brave I was and how much balls I had and all. That came natural to me. That wasn't something I tried to do. That wasn't something that I was putting on for show. That's just how I was raised. I'm in my 60s. I'm not in my 20s and 30s or even 40s. I was raised during a time where you had to be tough and you had to compete. And if you wanted to win, you couldn't be a wimp. You couldn't be a whiner. And you couldn't have your feelings hurt easily. You couldn't, all the stuff that's going on today that it seems like the herd mentality is incubating, and it's protecting people because people are fucking fragile. Anyway, so yeah, as much as women like to say that there's toxic, misogynist, what's the other words? Toxic, misogynist. Okay, there's different words that women use when they're the ones that could be toxic, and they're the ones that are being bullies, and they're the ones that are using masculine energy on a man. I was talking to somebody on Medium, and well, it's hard to talk on there because it's just about articles and comments. But it was like, it was this butch woman wanting to be with trans men. And she was talking like she was talking to women. And I said, you might start by not talking to trans men like they're women, because they're men. She was whining about not being able to find a trans man that wasn't a hoe. I said, a hoe? Oh, is that what men are now? I said, no, that would be dogs. Women are hoes. So right off the bat, she was emasculating trans men. Right off the bat, she was talking to them like they were women. And there is a difference in this, like it or not, like the patriarchal system, like the pecking order, like all that stuff or not. That's the way it is for now. And I don't think they're doing the world a service of trying to turn men into women. It's not going to work, because you need men to maintain the infrastructure of this world. They're the ones that have made it easier for women not to need men. You see, everything that they've built, women can go turn to that stuff in order to justify not needing a man. So, and then not needing a man, they don't need to learn how to treat him either, right? They'll accept one that comes along and then mistreat them. Next thing you know, they're single again. So, and here's another thing I've been running into out there. Filters on the internet. Filters on women. They don't look like what they really look like if you saw them in person. That they need to knock that off. Just knock it off. It's not even a joke anymore. It first kind of started out that way. They put funny stuff in their hair and this and that, but now they are changing their face. They're putting stuff on their face that is not their natural beauty, or natural ugliness. I mean, however you want to look at it. That they're faking out who they are, which is turning them into a bunch of catfish. People who aren't who they say they are, or who they are when you talking to them on the internet versus in person. God, I've run across a lot of catfish, and I just look at them and then I tell them go away. Especially if you don't show me what you look like. Those days for me are over. So, if a lady isn't inspirational, who is she inspirational to? She wants you to be inspirational to her, and she doesn't have to inspire you. She's got to be inspirational, or she's not supportive of her man. So, and on the flip side, men need to do the work to become powerful men and stop worrying about everybody liking you. If everybody likes you, then you're a chameleon. You ain't standing on nothing but sand. If your mind ain't right and you're not mentally tough, and in a lot of sense physically tough, you're going to be walking around scared all the time. Scared to be found out you're weak, scared to be found out you're not strong enough to compete in the world. Trans men are famous for going stealth. They say they want to go stealth, but then they also subject themselves to you better have some physical strength, because men are aggressive and men will take off after you and kick your ass. So what are you going to do? You know how to fight? You know how to physically fight? Did you when you were little? There's things about being men that just come with the territory, and if you're not there, then your self-worth is going to be low. If you don't have confidence, if you don't have self-esteem, if you're overly sensitive, which we call a snowflake, you can't handle anything thrown at you. You can't handle a man telling you, wait a minute, come on, man, that's some fucked up thinking, or what you did was fucked up, or whatever. If you can't handle any of that, you're a snowflake and you're fragile. That's not strength. And I'm not talking about physical strength. I'm talking about mental strength. Okay, so because women want you to be strong. They love strong men. They love confident men. They love men that are on their game, that are on their purpose, and their whole lives aren't centered around them. They say that. Women say they want that. And then they looking around for somebody who's actually a strong man. Behind the scenes, they'll take all these beta males all day long. But an alpha, a true alpha, is the ones they call assholes. That's what they want. I'm telling you, I'm still trying to shake a couple of ladies that are my exes, that they don't stand a chance because they're not satisfying what I want, but they keep coming back because they realize I'm not fucking around. I'm not letting that stuff slide, and then it's really virtually too late for them because I've given them too many chances and they keep blowing it, and so it's bye-bye. I got better things to do. So if all your life is built around your family and around your woman, and you have nothing, and your job, you have nothing going on, you will not be a happy man. Last night he was talking about men who, was it him? Oh no, okay, I'm sorry. Well, maybe it was him. It could have been one of the other ones. Anyway, men who can't handle other men having strong men in their life. The kind of men or people that they have in their life keeps them in their comfort zone of not doing shit about things that they need to improve in their life. Those kind of men have begun to irk me. And in fact, a couple of dear friends of mine I've had to let go. I actually didn't let go. I just built boundaries and they ran on their own because I didn't want to hear all the complaining for years and years and years. It's like, if you, it's not women's fault that you are incapable of being in a relationship successfully. It's your fault. You have to take it on. You have to take on the ownership of those things. And if you don't, I don't want to hear complaining and whining about the same things when you're not taking control of your life. And I put a boundary on a couple of people that they couldn't do that to me. They want that kind of therapy. They need to go see a shrink, not unload on me every time I talk to them. because they weren't about doing anything about it. They were talking about doing stuff about it, but they wasn't doing anything. So guess what? They kept getting run over. And I want to be around men who don't let that happen. No matter what, they don't let that happen. They improve and they work on themselves. And that's what we have to do as men, to support our women, because they may or may not be doing that. They need to, or they won't get chosen. All around the world, well, in quite a few communities around the world, their birth rates are going down, 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 because men are not picking this bullshit kind of woman that's out here today. And so they're standing back going, I ain't budging. And the men are standing back saying, I ain't budging. And then meanwhile, the birth rates are going. Japan is one of them, where they're just, the women are not marriage material. They think they are just because they say they are, but they're not. Yeah. So anyway, that's all. Well, okay, to close on this, Kevin Samuels is a guy to watch. Definitely a guy to watch, because, and don't be trying to watch little snippets of him, because you will not learn what he's about at all by doing that. You do yourself a disservice if you do. Myself and my buddy put together a group that primaries on Facebook. Got a couple of guys running it, or a few guys running it, and it's about your manhood and becoming alpha males. And so I'm paying it forward to men that want to alter the way that trans men who want to alter the way that they are. How socialization had kind of screwed us up. Being socialized as women is not the same as being socialized as men. So we have to make up for that on our own, because a lot of us don't have fathers, brothers, and uncles that are in our court, or friends that are in our court willing to teach us the ropes. We have to do it by ourselves. So in that group, we're doing it together, but they're following the lead of the gentleman that I have in there. Very, very strong brothers. And learning about manhood. If you got this far in the video, because I've been talking almost 38 minutes, then maybe you'll reach out to me and find out what that group is if you want to be a part of it. It is not for snowflakes. It is not for the weak at heart. It picks up where most beginner trans men groups leave off. They're only interested in the physical changes, and they don't realize you do have to go through mental and emotional changes as a man to become a man. To become, I'm not going to say real man, but to become an alpha. And we know not everybody in that group is going to become an alpha. But they'll learn enough as even betas that maybe they won't make the same mistakes or break themselves of habits that they've had all of their lives and didn't really realize it. We're putting up mirrors and showing people themselves, and they'll either grab onto that and run with it, or they won't. So in closing, he's the man of the hour for me. I like his style, not necessarily his style of dress. No, I see some old pictures of him and I'm like, dude, ugh. But he's a very smart guy, and he's just a very smart guy, and I like smart guys. Because if you don't have anything to learn in life, you're just rotting. And I've even pushed away people like that in my life, where they're just not growing at all. It'd be the same old complaints and same old number. So it's house cleaning for me. It really is. It's got me a little uneasy, but it's necessary. I need to be around strong men, not a bunch of weenies. So you guys have a great rest of your week. It's Tuesday night, and the pollinator is out.